Hello students, welcome back to my YouTube class. In our last class we have discussed the different properties of light and vision. So whatever we have discussed, apart from this, today we are going to learn regarding how reflection takes place through the human eye, and the human eye helps to see many different types of things. We know that without eyes it is quite impossible for us to see things. So how these eyes helps us to see the things? So before learning how our eyes helps us to see the things, let us have a learn regarding the structure of the human eye. We know that our eyes is enclosed in a nearly spherical eyeball. It is found inside a spherical eyeball, and a protective white membrane, which is called the sclera, it covers most of the eyeball. You might have seen your eyes many a times when you look at a mirror. The white membrane in our eyes, it is called sclera. It covers most of our eyeball, and the eyeball has a small bulge at the front which has a transparent membrane over it, is called the cornea. So the bulging that we have on our eyes, having a transparent membrane, is called cornea. Behind the cornea, what we find is that we find a colored disc-shaped diaphragm. It is called the iris. You can look at the figure 12.16 which is given there. The iris also has a small opening called the pupil, and this pupil is nothing but the black spot that we have at our eyes. Is the pupil. Light enters through the pupil. It falls on a flexible lens which is then attached to the set of ciliary muscles. The space in front of the lens is again filled with a watery fluid called as aqueous humor, and the space behind the lens is filled with a jelly-like fluid which is called as vitreous humor. At the time when light enters the eye, it finally falls on the retina, and retina is the place in our eyes which is at the back of the eyeball, and there the image is formed. And when the image is formed at the retina, our brain interprets it to understand what image or what object we are looking at it. We are able to see because of light. In the absence of light, we are not able to see. But how this light helps us to see? We know that everything gets reflected when light falls on the object. At the time when we are supposed to look at a book that we are going to read, so we are able to see each and everything that is written in the book or the pictures and all. Why? Because when we happen to look at the object or the book that we are going to read, the rays of light falls on the book and it gets reflected back to our eyes. And because of the reflection, what happens? Light enters through the pupil, and at last we find the image of the object that we are looking at. It is formed at the retina, and we are able to see the things. So let us learn how the eye works. The major function of the eye are to allow the right amount of light to pass through under different conditions of light. We know if the light is very bright, we are not able to look at all. So the major function of our eye is to allow only the right amount of light to pass through it, so that it can form a clear image on the retina and we can look at it. And then it is sent to the and then the image that is formed on the retina, information regarding it is sent to the brain, and then our brain helps us to understand what object we are looking at it or what image is formed on the retina. The iris is the part of the eye which helps in controlling the amount of light entering the inner part of our eye to ensure the best possible brightness of the image. In dim light, what happens is that the iris automatically widens up to let more light in. It automatically widens the pupil to let more light in, and in bright light, what happens? The iris it automatically contracts the pupil to keep out excess light and helps us to see the objects clearly. Light falling on the eye, it refracts as it passes through the cornea, and the lens and the fluids known as aqueous humor and vitreous humor, they act as a converging lens system which forms the image to ensure that the images of objects at different distances are sharply equal, and the ciliary muscles contract and relax to change the curvature of the lens. Okay, this changes the focal length of the lens and allows the rays of light from the object to meet at the retina, and the process by which the focal length of the lens of the eye is changed to ensure the formation of sharp images at different distances is known as accommodation. So the second point that we have learned is light falling on the eye, it refracts and it passes through the cornea, and the lens along with the fluids known as aqueous humor and vitreous humor, what they used to do, they help in undergoing the relaxation and contraction of the muscles so that the focal length of the lens of the eye gets changed and helps to form a sharp, equally sharp image of the object at different distances, and the process is known as accommodation. Many a times whenever we happen to visit a playground, we are able to see many players on the playground. At the same time, we are able to catch out many players who are playing at the playground. So it is possible only because of the process known as accommodation. In this process, what happens is that the focal length of the lens of the eye, it changes to help us ensure the formation of objects at different distances. And lastly, the retina, we know, which is the main part of the eye, which is light at the back of our eyeball, okay, which helps in forming the images of the objects that we are looking at it, okay, has got numerous numbers of sense receptors which helps in collecting the information about the images. And then after the information is collected by the receptors that are present in retina, okay, they are sent to the brain, okay, through special nerve cells, okay, and these nerve cells are known as optic nerves. Image form or information regarding the image is transmitted to the brain through these optic nerves, and the brain then uses the information to show us the image, and the image formed on the retina is inverted and very small. Okay, we know that our eyes is very small in size, but we are able to see big things. How the image of big things are formed inside these small eyes? It is only because of this retina. Okay, the retina, it helps in forming, okay, inverted and very small images. The brain then, after interpreting the information regarding the image, okay, it helps us to identify the image with a large view, and the image always which is formed is inverted. It helps us to see the image in an erect way. Okay, nextly we have got the blind spot. Many a times it happens that we are not able to make out the image that we are looking at it. Why is it so? You have seen many things around you, but why you are not able to recollect the image that you are looking at it? You can recollect a number of images that is formed on your retina. At the time, what happens when we look at a number of objects, okay, the images regarding all the objects do not formed. Okay, sometimes some images of the objects, okay, are not clear to our eyes or not clear to our retina. The image regarding it is not passed through our brain, and we are not able to identify, or we are not able to understand what image it is. So there are no sense receptors at the spot where the optic nerve leaves the eye. So this blind spot is nothing but is a spot that we find at our eye, okay, which has got no sense receptors. We know our retina has got numerous numbers of sense receptors which helps to collect the information regarding the image, and it sends the information of the image, okay, to the brain, and the brain helps us to make out the image that we are looking at it. But when the image regarding any object is formed at a blind spot, okay, as the blind spot do not have any sense receptors, the information regarding the image is not sent to the brain, okay, and the brain is unable to pick up the information regarding the image. So we are not able to understand, or we are not able to make out the image. Okay, so this spot is therefore called the blind spot. Each of our eyes has got a blind spot, okay, where there is no sense receptors and the optic nerves leaves the eye. The image that is formed at this spot, information about it cannot be picked up by the brain. Okay, so if any image is formed at the blind spot, the information about it cannot be picked up by the brain and one will not be able to understand the image that is formed at it. Okay, now we are going to discuss some of the problems related to vision. We know that when one goes old or one becomes very old enough, he faces some of the problems to see the things. Many a times we see our parents also, at the time whenever they have to read something, some newspapers or some letters or whatever it is, they use spectacles, and using these spectacles it makes us understand that they are facing some problems with their eyes. Okay, they are not able to make out the color, or they are not able to distinguish the alphabets or the words written on the book or the paper. So these are some of the problems that we find related to vision. Here I shall cite you two diseases, okay, that tells us that it's a problem of vision. Firstly, myopia. We can call this myopia as nearsightedness also. When a person happens to suffer from this myopia or nearsightedness, he is unable to see distant objects clearly. That means the things that are nearby him can't be seen by him clearly. Okay, but sorry, the things that are nearby him he can see it very clearly, but the things that are far away from him he can't see it. So a person who is suffering from myopia or nearsightedness has got the eyesight to see nearby objects. That means he is unable to see distant objects, but he is able to see nearby objects. So this myopia is the disease, okay, which is caused by the elongation of the eyeball. When the elongation of the eyeball takes place, one person suffers from myopia. Okay, so my dear students, always remember the other word that is regarding myopia is nearsightedness. Nearsightedness, it means he has the eyesight to see nearby objects. That means he can see only nearby objects, but he can't see distant objects. Our next problem regarding vision, which is given here, that is hypermetropia. Hypermetropia is again another type of problem or a disease related to vision. Okay, a person with hypermetropia or farsightedness, we can also call it as farsightedness. That means he has got the eyesight to see distant objects clearly, but he is unable to see nearby objects. And the disease called hypermetropia or farsightedness is caused by the shortening of the eyeball. In the first case regarding myopia, we have learned that this myopia disease is caused due to the elongation of the eyeball. But here in the second case, in hypermetropia, this hypermetropia disease is caused due to the shortening of the eyeball. In both these diseases, what we find is that there is change of size of the eyeball. Due to the change of size of the eyeball, the image formed, okay, either in front of the retina or behind it. And if a person has such a disease, okay, it can be corrected by using lenses or contact lenses. Many of us, we see that we use these lenses or contact lenses to get corrected out of such diseases. The lenses bend light in such a way that the image is formed on the retina. When we go for using such lenses or contact lenses for correcting a disease called hypermetropia or myopia. Okay, what happens is that the lenses helps in bending the light in such a way that the image forms very clearly in the retina and we are able to see the things clearly. Now, loss of vision and blindness. If one doesn't have the eyesight to see things, he is completely blind. He may face a numerous numbers of problems to live his life. Okay, some problems of eye lead to partial or loss of vision. Okay, some of the problems related to eye, okay, it may lead to partial or total loss of the vision. One may become totally blind also if such a disease that I have discussed is not corrected on time. The loss of vision in some people is so severe that they cannot do many everyday tasks without help. If one is blind, he will not be able to do his everyday tasks, okay, without the help of a person who is not blind. Such loss of vision is known as blindness, and some people who are born blind and some become blind because of a disease. Okay, many people, they are born blind, and many we find they were not born blind, but later on due to some diseases they become blind. So one of the disease, that is cataract. Cataract is a common cause of reduced vision. That means he loses his vision, he loses his eyesight. In such a condition, okay, the lens of the eye gradually turns cloudy, usually with age. With the increase of age, the lens of the eye turns cloudy, and as a result the vision turns hazy. And if a person has this cataract disease, okay, and is corrected at the right time, he gets cured. However, if cataract remains untreated, what happens? The lens can become totally opaque. That means the lens will not show any reflection at all. Light won't be able to pass at all. Okay, won't be able to pass, and the image regarding the object will not be formed at the retina. He will not be able to see at all. He will become totally blind. Okay, so many places, in many times we find cataract is a leading cause of blindness, and cataract surgery is out of reach of the people living in poor and underdeveloped regions of the world. Another common cause of blindness is due to lack of proper nutrition. Okay, or we can say that a person who loses his vision, okay, due to lack of proper nutrition is because of nutritional, it's a disease can be called as nutritional blindness. It's mostly common among the poor people, especially among the children, okay, who lacks vitamin A in its body. So at the time, in the beginning, the patient who is unable to see properly at night or in dim light, okay, what happens is that the person is given heavy doses of vitamin A. That means it's a disease known as night blindness. He is unable to see in dim light, especially at night. The light goes a bit dim. We definitely face problem if we don't take torch or any other lanterns and all, okay, things while going outside. So a person who has deficiency of vitamin A in his body, he suffers from such a disease known as night blindness. Okay, in early stages of night blindness, what we can do is that we can treat a person, okay, giving heavy doses of vitamin A, or we can also take different types of foods that are rich in vitamin A, like leafy vegetables, spinach, yellow fruits and vegetables, okay, papaya, carrots, pumpkins, butter, ghee, fish liver oil, animal liver, etc., and many other things which are rich in vitamin A. If we take such foods, then at the right time, at the very beginning of the night blindness disease, then one may get treated. Okay, now our last topic regarding this chapter is the world of blind. We know that the world consists of many different types of people. Some are blind, some are not blind, some are handicapped, some are deaf, some cannot speak, some are dumb. Okay, likewise many different peoples we find. So if we talk about the world of blind, that means we are talking about the blind peoples who can't see at all, who don't have eyesight. Okay, some people we know they are born blind, and some go blind in their long life, okay, due to some diseases like myopia, hypermetropia, or cataract and all, okay, or we can also say the night blindness and all, okay. If you close your eyes, my dear students, you will not be able to see anything, but if you open your eyes, you will be able to see the beautiful world around you. Okay, you can do different types of works because you are able to see. But just imagine a blind person, how is it possible for him to do the different works that you are able to do, okay, by looking with your eyes. A blind person is also able to do many things that you yourself can't do by looking with your eyes or by having your good eyesight. Okay, like we have got many examples of Helen Keller, okay, Louis Braille, likewise many heroes we have got, John Milton and all, which we shall learn regarding them. Okay, you will soon realize how difficult it is to do things if you cannot see what you are doing. At the time, if someone tells you close your eyes and try to write something, you will close your eyes definitely and you will start writing it. But while writing, you will face problems, whether your handwriting is going well or not, whether you are writing straight or not, whether the things that you are writing is right or wrong, whether you are making any spelling mistakes or not. You may face little problems. Or if someone tells you to walk on the street by closing your eyes, so what will happen? You may have a fear in your mind, like whether I'm going to hit any object or not, whether a bus or a taxi is going to hit me or not, whether there is a gadda or not, that you are going to fall. So likewise many fears will come to your mind and many questions will arise, and you will not be able to do your work like a blind person does. Okay, but if you talk about a blind person who is born blind or who has gone blind in his long life, okay, of run, okay, they depend on their senses. They are able to do most of their works on their senses like touch, smell, sound and taste. They learn the world using their sense organs, like by touching, by smelling, by listening the sound, or even by taste. And they are able to do their works quite better than a person who has got good eyesight. With the practice of using their sense organs, okay, other than the eye, okay, they are able to do their work much better, okay, and they become good explorers than the person who has got eyesight. On the things that the blind cannot do, one of the things that the blind person cannot do is to read ordinary books. If I tell you to read something, yes, of course, you all can do it very easily. You can see what is written on the book and you can read it thoroughly. Yes, non-stop you can read it. But if I tell a blind person to read out, he will say, I can read, I can see, how can I read? So this is the question. But we know that even the blind persons can also read books that are printed in Braille. Braille is a system of representing characters by raised dots. Combination of raised dots in a 6-dot cell makes up different characters, and these characters are read by touching them with your fingers. The blind people, they are able to read the characters by touching with your fingers, and this system was invented by Louis Braille, who was totally blind, okay, who lost his eyesight as a child. At the year when he was a child, okay, at the time when he was a child, he has lost his eyesight, and he is the person who has invented this Braille system. Using this system, many blind people are able to read. Okay, nowadays there are other means by which blind person can enjoy reading a book. They can use a computer to listen to stories or articles that are saved as electronic files as well. Blind blindness doesn't stop people from doing great things. Okay, it doesn't mean that a person who is blind, he or she will not be able to do great things in his life. Okay, blindness doesn't mean at all that it will stop a person from doing great things in his life. Helen Keller is a person, okay, she was a lady, okay, was about 2 when she became blind. She was only 2 years old when she became blind and deaf following an illness. That means she was having an illness, and due to the illness, at the age of 2 years, she lost her eyesight as well as she became deaf. She was not able to hear as well as she was not able to see. But even though she became blind or deaf, she didn't lose her confidence that she will not be able to do anything in this life. She learned to read and write braille and went on study in a college and even write different books. Throughout her life, she worked to help the blind and the deaf peoples. Okay, she showed them how people with disabilities can hold their heads high. Okay, like the Helen Keller. Okay, we also get Louis Braille. Okay, there are many other blind heroes. Surdas, the famous poet, and the saint, he was also blind. The English poet John Milton dictated his best known work, okay, after he became blind. After he became blind, he has dictated his best known work. And if we talk about some more, Stevie Wonder was born blind. Okay, he went on to become a famous musician and won an Oscar and many Grammy awards. So my dear students, hope you all have got the things that I have discussed today. If you all happen to be blind in your future, in your near future, then don't think that your life has got ended at this point. You must try to have some of the confidence like the other blind persons that I have said right now, like Helen Keller, or you can talk about Louis Braille and many other poets. Okay, how they have done such a great things in their life, becoming blind and deaf. Okay, you all are very lucky that you all have got a great gift, that is your eyesight, which is very helpful for you every time that you need to do work. Okay, using this you can do many great things, but even if you don't have it in your long life, okay, you may not lose confidence. You may think of all those persons, okay, and go your life running, doing great things in future. My dear students, hope you all have got the topics that I have discussed today. If you have any queries or any doubts regarding any of the topics that I have discussed, you please contact me every night between 8 to 10. I shall try my best to clarify your doubts. So with this, I end up my class. Thank you. Have a nice day.